Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 11 of Illium, our modded CS1 build. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm an enormous fan of this marina that was added in last week's episode. There's a little bit of nightlife for the day. In today's episode, those entertainment values are going to continue, as we add in a stadium and accompanying training complex to sit around the couple system on the main waterfront facing the town of Francis next to Arcus and the university. This area is certainly within our medium density transition belt, so we have to respect that as well with appropriate vibes. And I think with a waterfront here to play with, we'll also get some really fun stadium-side office parks in as well. Of course, all sat around this wonderful road network. Welcome back to Illium, everyone. Let's play some Cities 1, shall we? So first of all, the biggest priority in today's build is clearly the stadium. Now, there's a few options available. The largest and most appropriate is going to be the copper bowl, I think, which is quite a big one. I want to show this off. Now, initially, I was thinking something of a smaller arena, but I think what is eventually going to be so close to downtown, i.e. like right here, can probably justify a larger one. It's a little bit flooded inside. Can you play in a cold, flooded night in Illium? We'll find out, won't we? Brilliant. That'll hopefully go away. But I think positioning here is quite important. It's a really nice drive down the coupler system, isn't it? I think I'm sold on it, you know. I think I'm sold on the copper ball. We are going to have to reclaim some territory at least from the land, which is okay because we're quite wide here. Now, I also want to use this as another opportunity to introduce a transit hub, of course. What else? And we'll likely go with Pedestrian road around the edge, I think. But push it out not too much. Going to be a lot more riverfront around here, etc. We'll worry about the tram turnaround point in a second. We'll probably have another monorail stop down here as well. Definitely makes sense, I think, doesn't it? And then with our ferries, we will find our boats. We'll have the ferry stop sit pretty much centrally with stadium. Something like that. And then our return ferry stop, which will be a much welcome addition because the other one is just so busy. And it looks like I might just be able to replace that segment with a ferry stop. For the most part. How does the road look here, though? Yeah, I don't hate that, to be honest. I think I can survive that. Cool. Let me get this flowing back in two, just so we can see the impact of these ferries against the other ones. I'm also going to change it immediately to max capacity ferry as well. Which one was this one? 70? I guess I should probably change them back to 80 then, shouldn't I? You've also lost your connection. That's fine. I'll bring you up a little bit, seems to fix it. Perfect. Super, so we'll see what that does. Obviously they can't get anywhere yet, so let's add the pedestrian road in. I'll go with the bluestone one, I think, for this. And then I want to run this all quite angular around the station. Quite a modern, more sleek design today while we're going Stadia vibes. And this, let's go straight down 180 degrees into that segment, which a little bit of node control would be quite nice. We're going to briefly dip into downtown road network frame for a hot second here, and because I'd like to create the eventual space where the tram is going to flow. So we'll come over here. Straight the way down, although not with that road. With our tram road is the one we want. Now our train station, of course, our central station, terminus line is going to be here. And the trams will arrive probably in a plaza that sits in this general area with towers and transit hubs and stuff around it. So we'll aim that sort of trajectory, I think. A little bit of road guideline and curve will bring everyone together. Super. And I can use that as the permanent turnaround for down here. So I can delete this little thing. And this crossing can be a bit different now. Let's grab ourselves some 4-lane off to there, and then I totally envision this waterfront coming down here as well. I reckon we can probably line up another road crossing there. And that'll just help us stitch all this together. But I think I'm happy with that general structure there. That gives us at least a starting foundation. Let's bring in the trams and the monorail into this. Superb news, everyone. There's also plenty of people using the new ferry line here. 133 at this station. We can see lots of them heading onto the walkable quays, actually, rather than the metro, surprisingly. Only 51 through here. Thought that would be a little busier. How about the new one we installed? That last episode. Yeah, 255. This one's much busier. 500 and 647 people in a ferry stop in a week, my word. That's by far and away the busiest ferry line we've had. This one's also at similar insane numbers as it would be, because it's the only place they can get off. But that's crazy, and that'll only get more wild as well as things go on. But it does look like the extra boats are helping clear the backlog we were suffering with. So that's very nice. I imagine something similar will follow down the shoreline as well. Either way, let's bring in trams and monorail. Trams, I think I'd love to bring you into the waterfront and do something fun with some green space here while the layers are crisscrossing. So let's accommodate that. I think we'll upgrade this first little segment of pedestrian street on the waterfront here to become Bluestone Tram Road. And then we'll do a tram only road, which will look like you're going to have this 2-directional. I think I probably am. From there to there, and then back to that tram road again. I think this will just be a nicer way of integrating a bit more of a landscape sort of station stop, if you like. And then where we don't need the tram anymore, it does go back to tram, so I won't introduce... Then again, do we have any small tram cycling roads? We do. Okay. I think we'll have tram cycling here then. That can go down to Central Station. That road that we accommodated earlier. And then this road will have some nice landscape introduction of cycling starting from the stadium. And honestly, it's likely... I wonder if we want to do that now. Give it a try. We're going to go for cycling on the couplet. And because this is like a national road, like this is technically the highway, right? Like it's back to highway road just down here. I don't usually like to put cycling lanes on those sorts of roads. But we'll see how this goes because the traffic's going to slow right down all the way through the city centre anyway. Around the interchange and perhaps maybe a little more reluctant to do it. But there is actually a road like this on the A34. I'm heading south on a kind of an English dual carriageway and there's cycling lanes on it, which I found quite surprising because it's a 70-mile-an-hour road. Thought that'd be quite dangerous, but apparently Oxfordshire doesn't care. They just do it anyway. Before we get distracted by that, let's have the tram stopping, I guess, next to the stadia. It's just a short walk up to the ferry then for even more convergence. And then with the trams in, the monorail will... So I did bring it off here. I think we're going to run two separate monorail systems this way. So the train, or the station for this, will stop here as well. I think I'm almost certainly going to have this under the bridge. Like that. But then the monorail line is going to split again. And come... here, like this. And then want to line that up, but let's not come onto guideline here. And then we're going to have enough room. Yeah, we should do. And then this will be one of our key pieces of very fancy, slightly over the top infrastructure. That'll pierce right the way through the middle. Probably with another station down here for downtown once the downtown road network frame exists around this spine here. And we'll get stuck into that. Which I'm not sure when I'm going to do that. Like, we could technically do a downtown road frame like literally next episode. Or maybe one more tile. Where's the tile boundary here? Oh, it is quite awkwardly split. Probably grab this one, I think. Want access to this harbour area down here. And all these train lines. But patience, everyone. We'll get there. Let's accommodate our monorail. Be a couple of segments. And we should be able to get quite a happy little angle here, I think. It should stay connected because it's kind of tucked into a bit of a crook in the road, isn't it? And then we'll just draw them together. I really want to make sure we lean into monorail as much as we can, especially in this particular bit of the city. I'm always happy to see them. Of course, tall palm boys no longer needed here. I guess, I mean, if this is going to be a separate line of monorail, another stop here probably wouldn't be a bad idea either. Because that's going to be two separate lines coming out of the ASUS Ferry Harbour, if you like. Now, there is also the possibility here of considering crossing pedestrian roads causing traffic issues on all these pedestrian crossings. So I think we should highlight the possible need for some pedestrian footbridges as well. Which will go with an elevated campus pathway. The trade school path is a firm favourite. And then... how do I want to make this look? Has to be quite in line with this very modern design around the stadium going on. Is that water cleared off? No, they're playing on a flooded pitch. How deep is the water? It's almost knee deep in some cases. Oh, oh! You all T-posing? Why are you doing that? T-posing in protest of the flooded pitch. I've never seen that before. I've never seen the team T-pose like that. What a fun thing to see happen. Oh, was the match over? Is that it? Oh yeah, they're all finished, aren't they? There you go. Okay, everyone, let's watch this. Quite a few stopping for the tram. Like to see that. Imagine when those trams hit Central Station as well, how rammed this will get. Incredible. And then also at least several hundred back to this new ferry stop. We will have a few more of these crossings. I think I'll keep them going because they're obviously very successful. Likely one from here to Central Station, right? That'll be an obvious connection. And then, you know, possibly again, this will be quite industrial here, so maybe as it gets a bit more residential commercial, we can have some more further down this way. So we'll keep them going because they're proving to be just insanely successful. Literally, some of the busiest public transit stations I've ever made. And I've never really lent into ferries that much. Maybe those are the errors of my ways. Because they're moving hundreds, they're moving more than Metro in some cases, which is pretty wild. Pretty crazy. Fantastic stuff regardless. With this in, let's return to our idea of elevated pedestrian pathway. I love this to be quite flamboyant. And lots of curbs and whatnot. So why don't we accommodate that here? Let's come up to 6 meters. I'll refine any awkwardness with move it, I think. I actually wonder if I were to bring this on a forced to ground elevation. I'm just wondering if I can actually get away with kind of fusing in a ground segment into the station there. It does obviously deform the land, but it should allow them to actually directly pick the path up from the station. Like it's a second, like a first level exit. I'm not sure, probably needs a bit of work. I'll come back to that idea. Right, let's just get the basic connections in now. And we'll come down to 3 meters here. I think I'm also going to recruit Bob to actually do some work on these monorails. Don't want any of those trees on them. We'll detail each monorail station individually as we use them. I really like the idea of this kind of like swinging around here. Can we get that in, I wonder? And maybe just nudge the pillar forward a touch. Use node controller to say that that's a bend. So we get the full pathway. And then this can just come down into probably quite a lot of park space that'll sit around the foot of this stadium area. Actually happened to line up quite nicely as it came down with the stations and the corners of the road anyway. Cool, so again just another little layer that we're starting to see develop under this bridge. It's going to be such a key feature of the city, this. Really looking forward to how busy this gets. So I want to test that monorail. Let's see if it's actually going to work, because if not, I need to find another solution. Because it might not. Let's have a look. So, let's come to our public transit. So this is going to run from the same station. Now just thinking, do you actually have room here to run more monorail lines out? I think in the future, once these monorail lines start to become too busy, I think what we will do is maybe add 2 or 3 more monorails and then just have them diverge off on their own plan. But I'm just going to see how many I can get through one. But we do have the option if we want to, because we can easily delete a single placeable plaza there. So let's go from here. Everyone down to the stop. And complete the line. And then this one will also run down. And then complete the line. There you go, I just got an achievement for having 3 monorail lines. So I never really used more than 2 monorail lines in the city before. That can't be right, can it? Surely? That can't be right. So now we just need some people to arrive. Which hopefully they will. Speaking of office spaces over here, I wouldn't mind some IT cluster to feature. As we mentioned at the start of the episode, we are beginning a crawl to medium density here, so larger buildings are acceptable at this point. We can see this theme building as we get further and further to downtown here, can't we? So, keep bringing that in. And an IT cluster has some really nice combinations of assets. I think we'll do... just a back-to-back of these. Now, we'll likely have to do some building spawn points with this sort of symmetrical fusion, but I'm not planning on having loads of them. I've had a few comments recently asking me to kind of maybe calm down on the fusion a little bit, which I'll try to do, but it's certainly going to be a feature of Illium, especially in the city centres. I would always advise if you are running a build along, because I know quite a lot of you like to do that, and you're vanilla or without any mods, for whatever reason, then just keep it simple. Make those retaining walls, rock walls, make the fusing just perfect dense grid patterns in vanilla. Like, you know, our vanilla tips, just utilize them at will when you need them. Yeah, love that fusing. That's so good. So a little office park here, definitely what I want. Let's come back to our plopper balls. Want, again, more medium density stuff there. High-tech tower here. I think might be quite welcome. Something like that, and then we'll take some of those concrete aprons again. We also had some concrete police on us as well recently for too much airport apron, which I will try and calm down. But you do get a lot of concrete space in city centres. Just open, walkable plaza. I think definitely some fountains here. Let's have a look at our plaza selection. Yeah, I think one of these Railroad of Japan plazas is going to be most welcome here at the foot of some Green Cities towers. Yeah, great stuff. Let's get some trees in to embellish that as well. Quite a custom little tree garden here, I think. Really in the mood today to spend a lot of time just trawling the shorelines of Illium. Because really here we're building some of the most important parts of the city, I think. Medium density crawl around the skyline is always one of my favourites, especially in Rannoch. The whole Geth tech hub around there was super nice. Yeah, right, so we're just getting these medium density waterfront offices. The monorails are flowing. Let's see how they stack into the station. Should only be one per line at the minute. Unless now the white one probably has quite a few vehicles now, doesn't it? Because it's quite long. There's loads of people coming off that white one, isn't there? This is seriously one of my favourite transit areas, this whole spread here. And certainly one of the most successful as well. It's very busy. Do have to wait a little bit. This is why I'm thinking maybe 2 or 3 stations. Because this will get worse for sure as the line gets longer and more vehicles start coming down it. But either way, let's move into a bit of a plopping time lapse of green cities and medium density shopping vibes here. Ah, they are using it. Fantastic news, everyone. That's great stuff. Really like that. I wonder if I can find some sort of prop and or door. I actually wonder if the shopping cart cover prop might work here for a bit of a door, I suppose. How far does that stick into the station? I mean, I don't need it to do much. If I can... Probably needs a touch of tweaking. But from the right perspective, it gives you the illusion of at least an entranceway rather than just a flat wall, right? Doors collide with the station. Don't look too close, everyone. Don't look here. Definitely don't look into this too much. Because it will slightly break the illusion. Possible refinements to be had, but even from here it makes a difference, I think, doesn't it? Okay. At least they're using it there. That is great success. And then further down here we've also got a really nice little arrangement of shopping malls here. With plenty of detail and opportunity behind, with benches and tables out here for people to enjoy the waterfront. Expansions of this, etc. Lots of fun. And that brings us down to our office space. We'll have obviously tons of expanded landscaping at the foot of the stadium. We're also currently suffering with a bit of sewage, but thanks to past eggs' previous prep, you can simply turn on one of these. And that should help. Yep, there we go. The bonus of prepping industrial service. Yes, please, everyone. So coming back to here before we hit our detail and time lapse. Again, respecting our crawl. So I guess medium to high density here. I wouldn't be averse to another tower. We do have the Olympia term, which is the smaller one. It's not the same one we used last episode, is it? No, that was the Galveston Tower over there, wasn't it? Well, I think certainly something by the bridge, right? Some kind of tall tower. I don't just want small, medium commercial buildings over here. Nothing zoned, I don't think. It has to be quite grandiose. I think I'm just going to enjoy a simple partnership like that. Let's bring out some plaza space around the back of this. I'll likely connect it into that pathway as well. Send that straight down. Turns into walkable space, of course. And then just a little bit of an extra concrete lip, I think, around the edge of the building. Something like that. Yeah, I'll be happy with that there. Then on the foot of the waterfront here, where's our nearest node on this tram line? It's there, isn't it? So we could bring up a little 47-degree angle here, I think. I'm also going to change some of this to tree lined. Then I think we'll place a bunch of nice shopping mall from King Lenovo's stuff here. Okay, and then I think I'm happy for a lot of these little kind of bars and installations to just appear along the waterfront here. With also plenty more walkability back into to the quays at the foot of these office park towers. While we do have pedestrianisation here, we could also spin the stadium around 180 degrees. But then they emerge here rather than on the road. But I'm not massively bothered about that, I don't think. I suppose we'll see if we run into any major traffic. I doubt it will. But we do need a service point here, which I would love to blend in and around the bridge. Maybe here on this little bit of land between the couplet and the road. Let's have a look at our service point configurations at the minute. I'm actually not sure what we have unlocked. Got the garbage service point, small cargo. Oh, the large pedestrian area won't fit there, which is a bit of a shame. But I will probably only need a small one anyway. We're also going to name this waterfront today Brassac Park for our wonderful tier 3 patron and Discord moderator Brassac. Thank you for your years of support, mate. Really appreciate it, and we can look forward to Brassac Ball unfolding in the stadium, can't we? Be very welcome, I'm sure. And then with our little service point here, I always love bringing these things into kind of the city. I think, have we got much clearance under that bridge? I think we do. And we'll take it up to a certain point. Let's add a harsher concrete edge so we don't get the dodgy edge. Cool. We could use prop fencing here. But I think because we've got some slight difference in terrain here, network fencing is going to be my friend. So we'll go for some oil. And we'll run this in line with our concrete edge. And I'll try to bring this up realistically to the end. Something like that. And then we can expand quite a lot of little industrial spots down there. Yeah, but otherwise, it feels like a good point for a detail and time lapse. So I'm going to wrap up all of this landscapable space with concrete details and props. We'll try to use a bit less concrete. I promise, I'll try. And then lots of parks around here. Change up the tree lines, landscape all around the stadium. And think about some car parking solutions, because we can't have all this high density office and stadium infrastructure. I don't think without at least a couple of multi-stories. So maybe find a configuration for that around here. But either way, let's deal up our Brassac Stadium side office park waterfront, and then we'll be right back. anyways, let's have a little detail overview, shall we? Around Brassat Park, which, as with last episode, might be one of my favourite areas in the city. Some expanded table detailing about the back of restaurants, so you can choose to have an upper view over the bay across to Francis. Or indeed sit down here with some little fence dividers. Also present in multiple different installations along this quay waterfront. Some plan to work alongside the towers, and also seeing people emerge from these towers straight onto the quays as well. There you go. See how it's not even a pathway, they're just using it because the door's so close to the quay. So I really like this particular fusing. We've got a really interesting shaped building here on the waterfront. Also open up the back of some of these offices to a bit of detailing as well. Over here, just some more buildings and parking under the monorail as it cuts over the couplet. And then further down here. Also just more expanded plaza detail around the foot of these IT cluster. I think you don't need to use a lot of IT cluster to have it do quite a lot for you, don't you? There's only 3 assets there, some of them duplicated of course, but it's quite powerful, isn't it? Really like how that just sits as a bit of waterfront office park estate. Further detailing, of course, classic plazas and promenades prop work all around the back with more parking in between. There is a pathway here as well, as you can see. More of this prop work all expanded along the quays, lots of places to sit and eat at the foot of the stadium. Right, this carries on all the way down to our ferry stop, which I think I am going to have to actually change to a road because they won't be collected in the pedestrian area. I'm pretty sure I've had this problem before. And I can't use Network Multi-Tool to actually change it to a pedestrian road, then the station just doesn't like the connection at all. Well, it still works, it's just a lot of garbage here, so they might just have to deal with it. Then we got a lot of death wave, please. Yes, we do. The cemetery is resetting. That's a good point, actually. I probably need some non-fillable death care for this side of the river. Let me just cheekily throw down a little crematorium. We will find a proper home for that when we open that tile boundary, but at least it'll stop the graveyard from filling and leaving everyone to die here. Is the other side of the river okay? Yeah, you guys are being collected, aren't you? Just in a bit of a death wave at the minute. Let me just double check our hearses are actually out. Yeah, 15-15, there you go. They are collecting it. Wanted to make sure before everyone dies. Did happen before once in Orchid Bay, I think that. And then over here, 144 again, of course. With the metro picking up a little bit more traffic. But it seems to have taken the load off of this crossing. The backlogs here aren't nearly as insane as they were last episode. With 467 through there now. 198 through that underground metro. 234 now. They're just amazing. I'm really loving Illium's public transport systems here. This one, of course, just as busy. Like 647 in a tram hub. Well, Ferry tram hub, of course. That brilliant. Never had one that busy before. We're only 11 episodes in. So it'll get busier. Which I love to see. Beyond that, ferries are working wonderfully while distributing people down the pedestrian roads. A little bit of light concrete work. And statue out of this entrance to the stadium. Unfortunately, they don't use this one, which is a bit of a shame. But it's still nice embellishments. Under the bridge here might be one of my favourite segments. There's lots of different things going on. Overgrowth near the pillars and the back of the multi-storey car park here. Tram station, of course. Concrete work around the base of the monorails. With supplementary bench and fountain detailing at the front. That service point sat in between the couplet really nicely. I reckon we'll probably do this again in a couple of different configurations as we go further down, because there'll obviously be more pedestrian area. With industrial props, things that a service point might need, etc. All fenced in with a police station, with expanded fencing against the back of a car park. As also here both for stadium and this office space here. Which again has more prop work in it. Parks. And then lots of landscaping against this quayfront, which will definitely be the recurring theme, as the probably quite extravagant downtown Illium sits pretty much right next door to this. So that'll be a lot of fun developing that. Over here the couplet has been detailed. I'm thinking we're going to put maybe a water feature in here, a little lake with loads of lights. I think that'll be quite a lot of fun. Speaking of lights, I did put some on the stadium. I really liked it from the bird's eye view. But it can be a little bit overwhelming from the street view, so I'm not sure. Like, it's very impressive, really lights up the bottom of the arena. But maybe I use possibly too much. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'll probably cool that down a little bit. But I'm going to do the same thing with a custom lake under the monorail here, I think, for the downtown. There's a bit of a center park feature, if you like. Loads more detailing around here, including some railroad or Japan plazas with their own little benches out the front, which is attracting some nice people here. You do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit for this to work with the monorail coming in. Also just realised I need to add that second entranceway on there, don't I? I'll do that as well. But yeah, this just swings around to the campus. It comes down. I've also added in a little sign, perhaps just to say, you know, either be careful of the highways or this way to the monorail, etc. if you want to catch a different monorail line from the campus here. And this whole area just really complements the bridge quite nicely, I think. I really love how all this turned out. Some really nice viewpoints around here. Also through here, decided to make like a bit of a forest belt between what is National Highway kind of danger road against the internal roads of this bit of the city. And just as a bit of safety and sound barrier, and then where the monorail cuts through, just a bit of gravel work and overgrowth to almost kind of tease at a bit of deforestation. Like, you know, they've just cut it down there because the monorail's coming through. So try to add little bits and pieces in like that. And we'll also take a gander over this monorail line that came to much bigger developments last episode. 38 and 60 here. Bus hub 524 through this now, isn't that great? Very nice. And of course there'll be more bus lines to come from here as well. What's that? Last episode. Some still slightly flooded marinas, that's okay there. This one's pulling in near enough 300. So the monorail around last episode really starts kicking now. And we can also check out those buses as well. We have London bus driving around. Yeah, really enjoyed this bit last episode. Probably one of my favourite waterfronts we've ever done this. Although I'm probably going to say that a lot of times in Illium because there's a lot of water here. So we could very well come across other favourite waterfronts at some point. But that is nice. We'll also check out the traffic via the port because we did some work over here a few episodes ago. Yeah, it's definitely better over here, isn't it? The interchange and the bridge is still pretty busy. But somewhat moving. It's probably time for the redevelopment here, you know. We're probably going to need a roundabout feature to blend 3 nodes together, probably. Bit of a reforming here. But it's certainly clearer down here at least anyway, with these road changes we made. Still plenty of people arriving. Of course, via the train. Doing the loop. But Illium continues to grow and get busier. But otherwise, that will do it for today. Really quite a lot of fun. Hope you managed to find some inspiration if you are following along with our lightly modded build. Stadiums, waterfronts and IT cluster is always a firm favourite, isn't it? And nice to kind of get some initial previews of an eventual downtown Illium, which I think we're going to approach a little bit differently. I might do it in kind of different installations. Rather than one Skyline episode, I might be splitting the Skyline up over 4 or 5 different builds. So like the Central Plaza, the Financial District, high densities, you know, I'm maybe thinking a little bit differently from what we normally do in these kind of cities Let's Plays. But I'll see. We'll see what the mods allow for, but downtown Illium is going to be quite large, so I think we'll probably take that approach. Either way, an enormous shout out to the YouTube members and patrons that bankroll these videos, with a roll call to our golden patron eggs: Casino, Spartan Angel, Michael W, Bad Wolf, Louis Adlam, Phoenix MD, Blythe, Jamin, and Great C. If you want to get involved in that, links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon. Best ways to support the channel if you so wish. Otherwise, thank you for the continued support on Illium and for watching. Enjoy the cinematics, and as always, enjoy the rest of your day.